Okay, this is part 2 of the nervous system. This part will discuss the divisions of the nervous system. So before we begin, let's just point out some key vocabulary words. The word dilate means to get bigger. So in this diagram, we're seeing the pupil of the eye dilating versus the iris is contracting. Adrenal gland is going to be a gland sitting on top of the kidney. It is a gland that's going to make adrenaline, and adrenaline is going to be our fight or flight hormone, causing our heartbeat to go up. Acetylcholine is going to be the neurotransmitter. So acetylcholine, important word. We need to know how to spell it and say it so we can spell it. Let's get into the system. Before we study the actual structure of the nervous system, and the structure of the neurons, we need to understand that this system is made of special cells. We're going to call these special cells neurons. Neurons are the cells that make up our nervous system. So the nervous system can be divided up, organized, and it's really organized not just because in human beings, we like things to be organized, but these two systems, the central and the peripheral, really are separate. So the central being the brain and the spine, and the peripheral being the system that surrounds it. The peripheral being the part that sends the information in from the outside. So hot, the stove is hot. The motor then response will be move your hand, the motion that happens. So the peripheral is the part that's sending information towards the central. The central is going to integrate, make sense of that sensory information or ignore it if it's, right, I feel the carpet right now, but I don't respond to that, and sending information, if appropriate, back out to cause a response. So the peripheral then has two types of neurons: sensory neurons, which are just another name for cells, and motor neurons, cells that can make our muscles or attach to our muscles. The peripheral nervous system, and I don't want you to think motor is divided into somatic, because we have sensory somatic and we have sensory autonomic. The peripheral system is going to be subdivided into autonomic. So these are going to be involuntary actions. My stomach grumbling, my bladder storing urine, my kidneys filtering blood, my heart beating. These are the smooth muscles and the glands. So these are going to be inside your body. This is your internal environment. And this is you're not conscious of this. Versus the somatic nervous system, this is your skeletal muscles. So when you wave bye-bye, when you walk down the street, when you decide to put your peanut butter and jelly sandwich in your mouth and chew, these are all decisions that you've made in conjunction with your conscious brain. The autonomic is then subdivided again into two really important parts: the sympathetic, fight or flight; the parasympathetic, this is going to be rest and rumination. So R and R, restorative functions. So nice overview in a diagram. Again, just a reminder, the central nervous system literally lies in the center of our body. The peripheral lies on the periphery, on the outside. The somatic is the muscles and the sensory neurons that control are in our consciously aware body, but the motor neurons that control our skeletal muscles, these are the somatic. Autonomic, our kidneys, our heart, our airway, these are going to be under control of the peripheral, but in an unconscious manner. We do not consciously make the decision to make urine when we get up in the morning. It happens without us having to decide on that. It's divided into where I'm resting and sleeping, I'm relaxing, I've had a big turkey dinner or ham if you're having an Easter dinner, versus when you're stressed, a biology test that you didn't study for. This is going to be sympathetic. So again, just the idea, sensory neurons, and that's not going to work. It's going to go, sorry, I'm going to back it up. Again, sensory neurons, So neurons that receive sensory input. I see the glass of blue Kool-Aid. I send that sensory information towards the brain, the central nervous system, to integrate it, make sense out of it, so it will go up my spine and into my brain. The brain decides, okay, let's drink that Kool-Aid. Out the information, the nervous information comes down a motor neuron controlling a muscle, and I pick up the Kool-Aid to drink, right? This would be somatic or autonomic. This would be somatic because I decided, right? I decided to do this. The divisions of the autonomic, really important to understand. So again, sympathetic, fight or flight. You're in a car accident. You see something horrific by the side of the road. You wake up in the middle of the night and somebody's in your room. These are going to be fight or flight situations where your brain perceives, your nervous system perceives a real danger to your life. So you're going to either run for your life or fight for your life. Parasympathetic, when you're resting, you're digesting, you're restoring, and you feel relaxed. So the idea of balance, again, right, I like this seesaw effect. We're always working. If you imagine one person standing on a ball, on a board on a ball, we're always working to maintain this balance. So we're going between these two. Probably most of in our lives, when we're sleeping, we're 100% parasympathetic. But in our waking hours, we're probably in between, moving in between a little bit of each of these. So can you see a compare and contrast in your future? Right, I can. So I would stop it here. I'd ask you to jot these down. Really important comparisons. I'm just going to point out a couple of things very quickly before I run out of time. So adrenaline is the hormone. It comes from the adrenal glands. The adrenal glands are the glands that sit on top of our kidneys like a little hat. The parasympathetic is going to be controlled by a neurotransmitter. Acetylcholine is the word that we need to associate with the parasympathetic. In the sympathetic, this is when our pupils would be dilating. Here, in the parasympathetic, our irises would be dilating, getting bigger. This is when our blood is rushing. We can hear it in our own brains, right? Our own ears can hear our blood rushing by. When our heart is beating quickly, we're breathing quickly, our blood pressure goes up, we're releasing sugar into our bloodstream, so the liver is breaking down glycogen and making our blood sugar go up so we can make more ATP. Other thing, blood flow would be directed to your skeletal muscles. So if you watched 127 Hours, when Aaron Ralston found within him the inner strength to break his own arm and cut it off, he probably was in a sympathetic, had some adrenaline, and had a little more strength than we would on a normal day, average day. So word that's used to describe these two systems, they are antagonistic, meaning they're exactly opposite of one another. Nice graphic, just the image of the boxer, fight or flap, fight or flight. Just some key ideas. Two main divisions of your nervous system, either central, CNS, or peripheral, PNS. The PNS is divided into autonomic and somatic. The autonomic is again divided into parasympathetic, sympathetic.